Yeah, I think that's about it. We have the potential, obviously, and I would keep saying this. I would keep saying this. The greatest resource that we've got on the continent, it's not the gold, it's not the diamond, it's not the oil, it's not the coltan, the cobalt, it's not the iron ore, it's the people. And the moment we if we are oblivious of that fact, we would always get it wrong. We would always get it wrong. And
David, I agree with you absolutely.
yeah, I'm looking at a continent of over 1.2 billion to over 1.2 billion. Look, the literacy rate has gone up in the past decade. We have more people who can read and write. Um, but I think we've not done a lot in terms of, decolonizing our educational curriculum, if that makes sense. Now, we cannot talk about this without mentioning the amazing work of Julius Nyerere in Tanzania. The first thing he did as prime minister was to decolonize the educational system and to, let go of the colonial language, let go and just build an original and authentic nation. And that's why, Tanzania happens to be one of the most peaceful nations on the continent despite all that happened, around the continent, the neighboring
Yeah.
nations, you experience, relative peace, and yeah, I think that's what we need to do. So it's so good to meet people like Mika who are doing amazing things, and quite thousands of other young leaders out there who are changing the landscape, who are proving that wait a minute, I don't work for an oil company, but I can actually change the narrative of my local community, even if it's one person that gets, that whose life is transformed. So again, I don't believe in sudden change, but I believe that if we have like 1,000 makers, and maybe you need more myself because I'm as smart as maker, obviously. But but
We got some Davids as well, man.
you know, if we have a thousand of maker, we could actually transform the world. We could transform the continent, and we could actually prove to the world that we don't want to be victims. Recently in Salt House, we made a drastic change in our organization. We've been existing for about 5 years, and this year we said we were not going to, lead the not-for-profit model of operation anymore. We were going to be a for-profit organization driving
Oh,
change. And if you notice, I know you try to keep up with what I do. So we've been
yeah, yeah.
recruiting massively lately. And the reason why we've been investing a lot of resources into that is because I think the only way we can drive development is not by being a victim of circumstance of going to, investor donors and saying, oh, we have hungry children. No,
Exactly.
it's rather asking for investment, saying, I was in South Africa sometime in November, and we visited one of their shacks. So if you've been to South Africa, you notice that they live
Hmm.
in shacks like
Yeah.
parked there.
Hmm.
And we visited one of the shacks, and we noticed that there was a poultry farm there, small size poultry farm, and I was like, two sets of people would come. One person would come and say, "Oh, you're suffering. I'm going to give you $10,000." That probably gets embezzled. Another person would come and say, "Oh, you've got a poultry here. How about I give you $10,000 so you can scale your
Scale
production?"
it. Yeah. Hmm.
Now, which do you think will be more sustainable? In Africa, in the last 10 years, we've got that's just for in the not-for-profit sector, over $21 billion in terms
Yeah.
of in grants.
And not
Nothing.
nothing should
How
show for
much
it.
does it
Yeah.
take to eradicate poverty from Africa? How much does it take? So if we had invested that in terms of like, invested that in small scale businesses and medium sized businesses, probably we would have been able to record some further, like maybe more, we would have been able to advance the economy,
Yeah.
faster than it is currently. And so just to wrap up my point, I think that definitely we need to play a huge role in terms of science and technology. We need to make the continent habitable for our young people such that they have a voice. If I love the fact that you said, aiming for the presidency maybe too unrealistic in quote, but maybe if we're able to take the councillorship, you find out that we have more people in these offices and you get to understand more politics and how it works and government. And yeah, Mika said an amazing point. Often we affiliate leadership with politics, but that should
Yeah.
not be the case. That should not be the case. All right.
Shouldn't.
So if we're able to do some of this, I know it's not a magic wand, but I'm sure gradually we'll be able to reconcile. I'm a living testimony of that. Mika
Yeah.
is a living testimony of that, and so is so are thousands of other amazing Africans out there that are doing great things, not just within the continent, but outside of the continent,
Yeah.
which is remarkable. So yeah, yeah, that's about it for
Wonderful.
me.
Wonderful.